All right, a very good morning to you watching West Nile Television this morning. You're most welcome to the Kokoliriko live show, and this is the only show that will always start your day as an informed person, and definitely you always have to watch this show since you need to be one person that is informed. Since you also want to be informed, that is why we are always here to give you what is happening in and around your areas, around the world, and that only happens here on the Kokoliriko live show with me, Farish Majid. And today is the 11th of January, and that means that we are already 11 days into the first month of the year, and that should be an indication to you that very soon the children will be going back to school. And this goes to the parents, the guardians, and everybody who has a responsibility of ensuring that he or she has that one person that is supposed to be going back to school. And to the children also, this is also an indication to you that very soon you will be able to also head back to school, and that means that you should start preparing your mind right now, because mindset is always very key. Otherwise, if you do not really tune your mind right now, then when that time comes, you will find it very difficult. And now with that, we are really going to be talking so much when it comes to issues trending, that is from the region up to the international level, and this is where we start the show from. And my name is Farish Majid, and it's always a great pleasure for you to start up your day with us. And since this is the only show that will keep you informed, and really it is always very important to start off your day when you are very informed. And since somebody may ask you about something, and really you wonder, if somebody asks you about something that really the person felt you have the knowledge of, and then you do not have the knowledge, then you always feel that embarrassed. So I think embarrassment is not something that we shouldn't take, and that is why we should always watch the Kokoliriko live show that comes your ways every Mondays to Fridays. And my name is Farish Majid. Today is the Thursday edition, and that means that we're only remaining with one to wind up the weekend, that is tomorrow. And when Friday comes, we also head into the weekend. The Kokoliriko edition will also return again till Monday. This is a show where we keep you informed, and we keep you also aware of what is happening around the world. And right now in Uganda, the biggest talk is the non-aligned movement and the G77 summits that are really coming up, and these have also left a number of the public really asking themselves what these are all about. And that is why you should watch this show, because if you do not watch, then you will be able to be left out, and you become like the rest of the public, members of the public who do not really understand what this event is all about. And that is why it is very much important to always watch the show, because this is where we also give you information, we keep you informed, and secondly we educate you, and then thirdly we also sometimes entertain you, because this is a show that has no limit. But all in all, it is a show that really we should always be part of. You should not always miss, and you should always give time in to listen to or view us from wherever you're watching us from. I want to welcome you aboard, and for those of you really who are watching us on the screen, this is on Zuku channel number 0073. In a special way, we want to thank you so much. And for those of you watching us online, and this is on the various platforms, for instance YouTube, Facebook, and the other various platforms where you access us from, we also want to say thank you so much. And with that, we want to welcome you on board from wherever you are watching us from. Those of you in Alur sub-region, Madi sub-region, West Nile, or in West Nile in entirety. And for those of you watching us from Lango, Acholi, Bugisu, Buganda, and Kole, we also as well want to welcome you on board, because this is a show that is watched from all the parts of the world. And whoever is watching us right now, we also want to thank you so much and tell you that we are already here to take you through up the hour of 9 a.m. and that is why you should always keep it West Nile TV every mornings from 7 a.m. to that is the hour of 9 every Mondays to Fridays with me, Farish Majid. This is also where we bring you guests on topics that may be trending on the nation, and that's why we come here sometimes also discuss with you. And remember, you can also as well be part of the show. This is a two-way part. It's a two-way show. It's not only for one person, and where information flow is from both sides, where you can actually also share your feedback with me, and through using the other various platforms where you can actually generate your feedback through, and we shall be also able to share with the rest of the viewers. And you can actually use when you talk about the various platforms, we are meaning the social media, we are meaning YouTube, and the rest where you are actually accessing us from. You can feel free to drop your comments there at any time, then we shall be able to share with the rest of the viewers. You got to wake up, and for those of you who are still sleeping, it's time. You have to wake up now and go start hustling for your daily for your daily activities. And Kennedy in Muyenga is already tuned to. And just like Kennedy, you can also as well tell us you are tuned into, and wherever you are watching us from, we want to thank you so much for watching the TV. And this is West Nile Television, and this is the TV station that is here to enlighten the region. And one way we are actually going to be enlightening the region is also telling you what is happening. Remember, so many tragic instances have been happening here and there, and we have also registered murder cases, and this is double tragedy, which is quite unfortunate in Paida. We're also going to be telling you about that and what police is really doing in relation to that. We're going to keep you all updated about all this. And remember, General Salim Saleh is also still within northern Uganda, and when you talk about northern Uganda, he's in Acholi sub-region, and this is in Amuru, and we're also going to be telling you what he's doing that side and some of the things that he's actually up to, and that is only happening here on West Nile TV. And that is why we come to you each and every mornings to keep you updated with what is happening in the region, at the national scene and internationally. And now we want to really start off the discussions for today with the non-aligned movement and the G77 summits that are really taking place. And really so many people are now preparing it. The preparations are in high gear, and recently government did issue really a request to these government officials to hand over their vehicles that will be able to use to transport these dignitaries. Remember, over 120 heads of state are expected to be for these summits, and remember 100 now, at least I've been told 100 have already confirmed participation, meaning they will be able to really also attend. And now organization is in place, and people are really preparing for these summits that are coming up. And remember, these summits follow recently. I don't know if Uganda is too blessed this year, and really this year seems to be a blessed one for this nation, because we are just returning from the speakers and presiding officers conference, which happened just this year, and really so many things happened, and we really also saw our country's flag being raised that high. And this is what we want to see. We want to put Uganda at the national scene, and this is something that is really quite good for the nation. And somebody may be able to also ask, how does Uganda benefit from these summits that are really coming up? And that is something also why you must watch West Nile Television up to the last drop. And we are also going to be telling you how very important these events are and what they mean to the nation. And that is why you always have to watch West Nile Television. I'm talking about the non-aligned movement. Let me give you a brief history about this event. And this is an event that is supposed to build solidarity among nations in the wake of the Cold War politics. And remember, if you talk about the Cold War politics, and this is where countries after independence, after World War, really also continued with the fights. And this is not necessarily now in terms of war, but really in terms of action, sometimes in terms of words, in terms of alignments. And for the countries that are saying now they are non-aligned, these are countries that really took their stance and saying they cannot align with any other countries, with any other superpower. And remember, we had two superpowers, that is Russia and America, and these countries that actually stood their grounds and said no to this non-aligned movement issue is that they are saying no, we cannot really also continue siding with any other country. For us, we are independent. We do not want to side with any nation, and that is why the non-aligned movement actually did come in place. And for those of you who know why this event is very much important, and in the history and really in the wake of African nationalism, and this is why it is very much important, because you will not have influence of countries impacting on you, because once you align to somebody, at times it also comes with its own repercussions. And then this is why these countries are really expected to come. And remember, the pronouncement for this event was made in the last activity, which did take place in Azerbaijan, and Uganda was actually declared the host for the next. And this is where Uganda is actually coming in to host. And remember, this will take place from the 15th of this month till the 19th, and then the G77 summit will also really start off from there. And that means that there are 3 events this year now, which is so far so good for the country, for all these dignitaries to come through. And remember, these events also come with their benefits, where over the 120 heads of states are expected to be coming through, and they also coming through with their dignitaries, which is really so good for the nation. And that means that there are so many advantages attached to these events, and these events do not really come like that, because really, if you are to talk about the benefits of these events, then they are really quite enormous. And that is why these events are really so good. And remember, Lucy Nachiobe, the chairperson of the National Organizing Committee for Non-Aligned Movement, and and G77 plus China summit has already inspected the newly refurbished international airport to confirm preparedness and readiness for the 2 upcoming summits. And that is why I'm telling you these events are really so good, because they come with the infrastructure development. And remember, these developments are here to stay, and that is why these events are very good for the nation. And if you talk about the developments that we are really seeing in place, and the one that we cannot actually leave out is the Entebbe International Airport, which is actually one which is also quite good that it is refurbished, because once these people come to Entebbe International Airport, which they have been really seeing on TV, which they have been hearing of, and which at times also they have never been to, and they come and find the place dilapidated, and then they will have an image of the whole country being really dilapidated. So I think it is always good to always make the first place. You know, first impression is always key, and this Entebbe International Airport is actually one that will really also give us that outlook, because they will not be able to move. I believe they will not be able to move to the rest of the parts of the country, but once they are attracted well, once they are given that good reception at the international airport, which is the entry into the country, because all of them will actually land there, and then they will be transported to their various hotels, which is actually also another advantage, where they will be able to also move to these hotels and come in with a lot of benefits, because they are bringing monies for these hotel owners, and the hoteliers are really going to also benefit from these events here. And remember, we have seen new hotels upcoming. These hotels are actually going to be really good for them, and this is where money is coming. And remember, these events are also quite good for these for these hotels, these business owners, because they come with so many businesses. Just like the other day when we did have the speakers and presiding officers conference, they were able to be taken to Entebbe Zoo, which they really went there and did see our animals, and most of them have actually appreciated, and one message was passed to them, and that is conservation, which is very key, because for these wild animals to be conserved for quite so many days, they really need conservation efforts, because if they're not properly kept, then the nation also will not be able to really benefit from them, because they will be able to get extinct. And once these wild animals get extinct, then we shall be able to also not keep them for future generations. Why would you want to really get these animals get extinct right now when you're seeing what will your grandchildren really have look at? Because we are taking photos right now. The photos, we're in a world of social media now, and everything we are posting here is here to remain, and our children will find them whether we like it or not. It will reach a time T when they will be able to also want to also see what the grandfathers or the ancestors were doing. And this is why we should always desist from poaching. Poaching is not good, because poaching also keeps our animals' lives at danger, and that is why these things are really very much important. And remember, these guests will be able to also get attracted to come back once they really get impressed with what they are seeing here. They will be able to return back with their families at one time in the future, and this will also be able to bring monies for the government. And nonetheless, above all this, one thing that I cannot leave out is building international trade relations and discussing peace, unity, and development cooperation among these dignitaries and these leaders that are really all going to be able to also come for this event. Will have time to interact between themselves, and which will be able to also build the world peace unity we are talking of. And this is why these events are really quite good. And the non-aligned movement plus the G77 summits that are really coming up. Remember, this event of the non-aligned movement will start from the 15th, and really that means that we are counting very few days, and everything seems to be very ready and prepared. And for you actually who doesn't know about this event, then you'll be able to also keep following, and that is why we should always keep telling you what is happening. And that is one mandate we are always here. You always have to rely on us, because starting off your day as an informed person is always very key, because as out there. But about that guy, you know, these are the people that always check our mindsets. And really, if you are uninformed, and then you're that smart, and then you're that person who does not have knowledge, then you will be able to also not be criticized. So I think this is something that we should always desist from. Let us always start our days when we're informed, and so that during the due course of the day, when somebody asks about certain thing, you always have what to give them back. And that is why the Kokoliriko live show on West Nile TV is always here for you. And with me, Farish Majid, that is what we are really going to be doing. And remember, so many things are happening, and really the non-aligned movement is the biggest talk of the nation right now, and the preparations seem to be very high there. And remember, the speaker, Right Honorable Anita Among, did host the last, really she was appreciative of the last event, which was a success. but we did have a challenge of some countries absconding from attending this event here because of the stand the nation did take up against certain laws, and for instance the law against the homosexuality. Some countries actually opted not to attend this event because of that, and that was really also not quite good, and I do not know what holds of the future, and really some of the things that may be able to also happen next. And are they also going to absent themselves from these two upcoming events? That is something I do not know, because of the stand the nation took against homosexuality. And remember, the nation of Uganda, through His Excellency Dr. Museveni, did say no to homosexuality because we have our cultural values. And remember, recently when he did communicate over the weekend, he actually also warned the foreign nations who want to have an influence on the affairs of this country to desist and really stop it, because he is not going to take it. They are not going to really influence on the affairs, because Uganda said no. Now they are cutting off donations, they are really cutting off aid, and now they are also stopping from themselves from attending this event here, because really this last event was not attended by some of the countries, which we believe was actually due to fear, and also due to some reasons that we did take our stand as a nation and said no to homosexuality. And that is why also it is very much important for these events to come, so that it is actually very much important for these African states that really also said no to homosexuality, and that is why they come in and talk in solidarity and address these issues and have means so that they see to it that their economy is really stand for. And one thing about these things, why they are very much important, is always that they help build international relations. And for one country that has poor relations with the other nations, you are an economy that cannot survive. Otherwise, for your economy to really survive and do well, you need the international relations. You need this relationship with the neighbors. We need the international relations with the countries, so that really you also benefit from each other. And that is why it is very much paramount for such events to be attended. And now we are looking forward into these events that are really upcoming in the next days. And this is from 15th to 19th. And this event will be able to take place at Speak Resort Munyonyo. And these dignitaries are actually already, according to the information we are receiving, they're already preparing, and the government agencies have been asked to hand over their vehicles, and this will be able to also help in the transportation of these dignitaries from wherever they sleep and from wherever they come from. This could be from Entebbe Airport to their various destinations, and where it is also going to be very, very much really important. And that is why, as a country, we are blessed this year. 2024 could actually be a blessed year for this country, because we are just starting off the year, and remember, so many good events are coming through. That is good news for the nation, which we should always really appreciate and really be thankful for, because these events come with so many developments. The developments that are really coming up will be able to stay there for life, and they're not going to be, they're going to be there for quite some time. They're not going to move away. They're not going to be transported. The roads that are being developed are there to help everybody, not only these dignitaries. They're there to remain in place. And remember, so many areas are already being developed now. And if you look at the road connecting Kampala to Entebbe, it's also being upgraded. And this is all to help aid in these these upcoming events, which is really quite good. And that is why we commend the government, and we really appreciate the government for doing these things there, because our image outside is very, very key. Let us also come and find that Uganda very clean. You know, sometimes our people go outside this country. For instance, the members of parliament, we are recently in Rwanda, and some of them were actually confessing that Rwanda is very developed, and some parts of Rwanda actually looked like Europe. And this is also what we expect these dignitaries to go back with once they come to really Kampala, and let them find our city very clean. Let them find it very developed, so that once they're also going back, really they will be appreciative of the nation, and they will be thankful, and they'll also say, wow, the Uganda is developing. Uganda is really a grown-up country. It is very clean, and this is what I saw there, so that they also get the courage of coming back. Otherwise, once they come back and really find our city that littered, very, very dirty, congested with a lot of vehicles, then they will be able not to come back, because they will be discouraged, they will be demoralized of what they are finding. So I think this goes back to the relevant authorities and to the people also. We let us paint a good image of our nation, and this is the people within those areas of Kampala. Let us make sure that we paint a good image of our country. Let us represent very well at this event, and to the leaders also. Once we're in these events here, let us put that thing, let us put our differences aside. And this is actually one request that is the Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Chris Barrios, did issue to the opposition candidates and leaders and politicians in general. And he actually issued a stern warning to those trying to really demoralize or distract the two events. And this was at Uganda Media Center. He actually issued this warning to them and told them to desist from this because they will be able to also dealt with and which may not be really quite good for them. And with that, we are going to be running for a short commercial break. And when we return back, we shall be able to still expound and this discussion of the national aligned, non-aligned movements and the G77 summits that are really upcoming. And you can actually also be part of this event on what you think our leaders need to put forward when it comes to addressing international issues. What do you want them to deal with? And so as a country, we have always had some conflicts with our neighbors sometimes, and this is in trade, and trade is actually one thing that we need to expand and really work on as a nation, because without these good international relations, as an economy, you cannot survive. Because for any other economy to survive, you need good international relations with your neighbors, and that is why it is very, very much paramount. And with the coming of these leaders, what are some of the things that maybe as a viewer you think your various leaders need to put forward at these international summits? And with that, we are taking another short commercial break, which is the first of the show for today, and when we return back, we shall be able to really expound on these discussions and other topics that are really trending on the national and regional scene. And remember, I did tell you about police investigating murder of two, and this is something that we are going to be talking about. And this incident happened in Paida, which is also very, very quite unfortunate there. But for now, let's first take a short breather, and when we return back, we shall be able to really pick up with the discussion from there.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
AFCON, all 52 games live only on StarTimes. StarTimes brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023 live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your StarTimes subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. StarTimes, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Back from that short commercial break, and this is still the Kokoliriko live show. And in case you're just joining us right now, it's a pleasure having you on board, and this is the show that will keep you as an informed person. And we have had discussions about the non-aligned movement and the G77 summits that are really upcoming, and we are still very much going to have the discussions in line to that, because you as the viewer also needs to understand what these events are all about and the importance of these events to you, because these events also have that importance to you. You may be saying that they are for the leaders, but literally the discussions that the leaders are supposed to have there has also an impact on you as the citizen. So that is why it is very, very much important and paramount for you as the viewer to really keep watching West Nile television. And that is one reason we are always here to enlighten the region. And one way we are going to enlighten the region is through talking to you. So I think it is very, very much important. It's not a mistake for you to always wake up listening or viewing Kokoliriko from wherever you are watching us from. And for those still in bed, it's really not good. You have to wake up and now go hustle for your daily needs. Otherwise, if you do not really wake up now, then you will be able to also be kept down. So, which is also quite unfortunate there, and that is why it is really very much important. And remember, the G77 summits are really going to follow each other. And remember, we did have the speakers and the presiding officers conference recently, and this was at Munyonyi, also in Uganda. The event attracted a number of dignitaries, including speakers and presiding officers from so many countries, and these countries really also came to Uganda and really shared a lot, and they were able to also traverse the country. One place they did go to was where over about 70 heads of states actually moved into these various places from where they were able to, where they were coming from, and these were actually from 120 countries, which is really quite good. And if you have to look at that number, and that means if you have to look at 70 heads of states out of 120, you can just, that is average. Although some members of heads of states also opted not to come for this event because they were maybe scared that Uganda took a stand against certain laws, and there were also maybe certain reasons for them not to attend this event. And really, in the next event, we expect of also 120 leaders. Already 100 have already confirmed participation, which is really quite good, and we expect them to really come, and we expect to see them in the country, because these events are really so good, because this is where we also tell them about Uganda, what we have. Remember, Uganda is a good tourism destination. We have so many potential tourism attraction sites. We have really quite a number, and remember, these people actually have had a lot of time to move and see what is happening in Uganda. When they went to Entebbe, they were so much amazed to really see what was there, and we have animals that were really kept there, and they also moved to so many other places. And if you talk about the so many places that they really went to Nderetu, and you could see the performance that these people really put out for them, and that is one thing that actually sells our culture. And remember, as West Nile, as Uganda, which is the Pearl of Africa, we have so many potential tourism sites, and of which up to West Nile, we also have so many potential tourism sites, though they have never been also marked. So I think it is time that the mapping of these potential tourism sites also happens, so that these people can also come from wherever they are to come and see what is happening in West Nile sub-region. And this goes to the leaders really to ensure that our tourism sites are really mapped. We have so many potential tourism sites in West Nile. We have the Mountain Wati, which could actually be a good tourism site for visitors to come to, and we have the Mirador Falls and so many others. We also have that church, and not forgetting the Eclipse Center, where this is where people came in from wherever they were coming from to really view the eclipse from, which is in Pakwach, which is also another tourism site that you cannot leave out, though the place looks a bit grounded now. And this also goes back to the leaders to ensure that this place is mapped, and then they start branding it. They start really giving out the world the information about this place, that it exists. Otherwise, if we do not really also talk about our potential tourism sites, then we shall be able to lag behind when it comes to tourism, because tourism comes with a lot of money, and it brings in money in terms of foreign exchange. And this is one benefit about tourism which we should also know, because this one, despite them coming for business, they're also coming with business to the country. Because really, if they're coming, they will be able to also see the tourism sites. They will be able to be taken around the country. They also get to admire, so that once they go back, they also go and tell their colleagues, they go and tell their family members that in Uganda there's this and that. And then there's time, when you also get time, you need to come for holiday or vacations this country, and that is why it is always very, very, very much important to also have a good branding of our nation. And this is why the Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Honorable Chris Bariomunsi, did issue a warning to the opposition leaders and candidates that are trying to demoralize the event or distract the event. And he told them to actually stay warned. They're not going to succeed, and they're not going to take any. They're not going to take any form of that embarrassment. And this is also why I want to also extend the same message, because as people of Uganda, we need people to have a good branding of our place, so that once people go back, they do not also know what is happening here. Remember, when a visitor comes, once you are being raised, they used to really also tell us, once you have issues at home, when somebody comes, all of you abruptly have to change the smiles from the sadness. And that is something also, as people of Uganda, we need to really take up. And remember, so many things are happening, and this period, so many things could actually happen, and that is why we are seeing politics now getting active there and here. So I think it is very, very much important. At times it's also not good to put politics into issues of national importance, and it is always good to put politics aside. I do understand that politics, actually, that can be one chance of echoing out your voices, but let's wait for another time. This is to the politicians who are threatening to really demoralize this event, because that is not said out of nothing. And remember, so many of these things are now happening, and this summit aims at boosting South cooperation, including the areas of trade, investment, sustainable development, climate change, and poverty eradication, among others. And if you have to really talk about the G77 summit that is really coming up, this is the 3rd edition, which is really hosted by Uganda. And that is why I must say it is very, very good for Uganda to also start off the year with such events, which is really, really quite good, and we appreciate the leaders in place for this. And this is to the members of parliament who have ensured that this event comes here, and through that, and the other various leaders also for lobbying this event here, because sometimes you have to lobby for these events, and then there's verification, and otherwise, if you do not qualify, sometimes also you're not be able to really also benefit from this event here. And that is why I want to ask a question to you now, the viewer of the Kokoliriko live show right now. What do you want our leaders who are going to attend this event really to address when they are going to head for this national line movement, non-aligned movement summits, plus the G77 summits that are really upcoming? What do you expect our leaders to also really put out? Because as people of this region, as people of this country, we may be also able to really go through a lot, but which could be addressed at the international level. Remember, so many countries have always had problems. At one time, we did have our maize being rejected by Kenya because of aflatoxin, and we also did have our milk sometimes also being rejected. So these are 3 issues that can be addressed, and this will also help boost international trade corporations. So I think which is very, very much paramount for certain events, which is really also good for these events to take place. And that is why we always come to you on the set, and we always have to ask you also for your input, and that is what we do best when it comes to the Kokoliriko live show on West Nile TV. It is the first show, remember, of the day. And as you, the viewer, also it is to keep you informed and updated of what is happening around the country. And that is why it is always good to start off your day from an informed point of view. Otherwise, you may get embarrassed because somebody out there may ask you something thinking that you know, and yet actually you do not have knowledge, which is not good there. So I think it is always good to start off your day watching the Kokoliriko live show. This is where we keep you updated and informed of what is really happening in and around your vicinities and around the places where you are. So I think it is really also going to also help boost trade, and trade is one thing that actually really helps people. And remember, this will also run. This is from I'm talking about the G77 summit, and this is going to take place at Hotel Serena, which is really also another good place, that another one hotel that we are proud of, and that will also really attract so many leaders there. And now that will also really also be good there for this country. And now preparations already in high gear, and the roads are actually now getting set. And one road actually that is really going to make our city look good is the Zambia flyover, which is really being done at terrible speed now, as works stand there at 80%, and really you can see photos of vehicles moving under the ground tunnel, which is also something that is really something good there. You can see the lighting, but so many people are also raising questions now about the infrastructure development when it comes to that side, as people are saying, really, will this lighting stand the test of time with the kind of electricity we have in this country? I do not really also know what is about that, but we really also expect this electricity to always be there, because that ground tunnel is not going to be for borders, and we also do not expect people who walk to use the underground tunnel, and it is only going to be for vehicles to pass through, and this is for vehicles that connect to Jinja Road, and remember that road connects Entebbe, that is to really other parts of the region, and really it is also one area that is going to connect. That is Zambia, areas of Zambia to Jinja Road, and that area had always had congestion. And you can really also look at how it connects the city center, which has always been a problem. For those of you who have been to that place, you can know how the Zambia road has always been that critical, because it connects Entebbe. People coming from Entebbe have to come through there and enter the city center, and it's also one road that connects really to that is Jinja. I think Jinja Road also connects through that. So I think developing infrastructure is something that is really appreciative, and really such summits also come with the issues of infrastructure development. And I also did talk to you about new hotels emerging, and remember, so many of other formats of infrastructure also going to come up, and these are going to remain here even though the summits are there for free. They do not actually exceed more than 5 days. They are always there for a few days, but once they come with development, this is something that we must always appreciate and really welcome as people of this country, because if we do not do that, then some people out there may not also appreciate what is happening. And remember, so many things will also ruin our country, our country's image. And the question I'm posing to you as the viewer is, how do you really think our leaders need to address themselves when it comes to these issues of this national event? What are some of the things that you want them to talk forward, to put forward before these delegates? And remember, these guests are going to come with other dignitaries, and we have so many heads of states that we are expecting to come for these events, and we are expecting more than 120 heads of states, and these are from the non-aligned states, and so many of them are actually going to come through. And these are countries that have really said no, they're not taking any sides. They're not really going to stand with the superpowers. And remember, superpowers, we had Russia and America, and the Cold War politics, which is really up to now. And you can say there's no war, but the Cold War is still continuing. These are words of wars, words that are not fought physically, but we continue influencing. And that is why you are seeing certain countries going to attack others, and certain countries really dealing with others. So that is already Cold War between superpowers. And if you look at the superpowers, we have America and really and Russia. These are the two superpowers. And in the wake of Cold War, these are states that are saying no. For us, we are not taking any sides. And even if we are nationalists, we are African nationalists, we are Africans, and that is why it is also good for Africans to really come through in this event and really also address themselves and really find ways of being together. And with that, we really want to put the discussions that is in line to this aside. But really, if you feel that there's something you want to put forward, you can use the various platforms where you are watching us from today. And this is the Kokoliriko live show with me, Farish Majid, and we started from the hour of 7 a.m. and we are doing this with you up the hour of 8 a.m. and from 8 a.m. we shall also continue again up the hour of 9, and that is when the Lugbarati news team will come through and give you what is happening in the world of news, and that is with Mukulia Lawrence. I can see he is already around, and for those of you who understand the Eolaza, and if you know Lugbara, then this is quite good for you also to be part of. So I think starting off your day as an informed person is always very much key, and you can actually also get informed through the news bulletin of what happened, because certain things really happened. A lot is really happening, and remember, so many things. And tomorrow we are going to be discussing agriculture. So many things also you have to be part, because as people of this region, really we need food production. We need also to eat, because food production does not have a certain period that we are saying we are going to produce within this period only. And how do you keep already what you already produced, and what are you ensuring that you produce during dry spell? Those are the discussions we shall be able to also discuss with you tomorrow, and we are expecting guests from the presidential farm, and they will be able to also come through on the show tomorrow and really share with you. So you have to be part when it comes to tomorrow, and they will be able to also tell you what are the things that you need to do during dry spell. And I think this is why farmers also need to be part of the show. And remember, everybody is a farmer, and you can actually be a farmer from wherever you are. And this is also to the middle class. Sometimes you want to venture into farming when it is late, and that is why really it is really quite good there. And with that, we really want to put the discussions really to aside, and we can able to also be picking it up in case you have anything. And now heading to Paida, and this is in the Zombo District. Police is investigating a circumstance under which 2 people have been murdered in one day. That is in Paida Town Council and Aka Sub-County respectively. Everest Okechinyu Oyenkyu, a 37-year-old resident of Alisi Thungu, and that is in Paida Town Council, was murdered last night on allegations of stealing maize from the nearby garden, and his body was dumped along Ebola stream. And according to according to Collins Otinkyu chairperson LC1 Jupandika East Cell, he was informed about the incident and later reported the matter to police, who visited the scene and conveyed the body of Paida to Paida Health Center for postmortem to be carried out, which is really something that is really also not good there. And similarly, same incident also happened as another person identified as Reginald Onkechinyu, a student of Pachere Polytechnic in Panyango Sub-County, Nipakwach District. A resident of Osina Village, Aka Sub-County, was also killed and burnt inside his house by unknown people. And really, these are things that we need to desist from, because really, these murders, why does it seem very easy for human beings today to kill another human life? So I think this is also something that we need to really also come up and condemn in the strongest terms, and this is a work that we really need to also ensure that we put aside, because really we are continuing to see people being murdered, and these cases in this Aluru sub-region are on the rise, ranging from issues of witchcraft, allegations of witchcraft here and there, and we are seeing witch doctors coming from Congo, and these people are really destabilizing the country, and with their people coming with new religions, really, which is also quite unfortunate in these areas here. And this is not only happening in that is Aluru sub-region. Also recently we had a scenario where one person was actually kept tied in the church, and this was Narua district, which was also quite unfortunate for days. And this person, the pastors, according to what we had told this person not to move out of church, because his demons were actually waiting for him outside, and this is where the cursed spirits were waiting for him. And this person had to really, you can really wonder, you are tied in a church where you're not allowed to do something, but you still believe in these religions, really, which is quite unfortunate there. What are we doing as a nation? Where are we heading to? This is something also really I want to call upon the public to desist from, because issues of murder cases that are currently on the rise in West Nile sub-region is really not good, because if you have to move in other places, we are seeing these cases being reported. Even right here in Arua City or other places of West Nile, you can still see people being killed, and this ranges from issues of really sometimes theft. Now theft, really, you're murdering somebody for maize. Really, what kind of heart are human beings having? You're murdering somebody's life. You're taking somebody's life just because of a piece of a maize. Really, it is also not really matching there. I think these people could do better things. They could really offer, they could actually do better things to really ensure that they give justice to these people here. But mob justice is also one thing that the laws are against, and the government of Uganda also does not really support this. And we also say we need to desist from mob justice, because now you are just killing somebody's life for maize. What if the person went and really stole this maize because of hunger? Could it be hunger that pushed this person into stealing the maize? Really, you can then just imagine why you should not always do certain things. And then for the people who are behind these thefts, and really sometimes also you are causing a lot of havoc. It is two-way. You are causing havoc for the owners of the gardens who have really invested a lot of money, but then your life is being taken just like that because of maize. What are you going to tell your family members? This is an embarrassing situation. Was it really hunger? What pushed into stealing? That is something I also do not know really, but you can tell me as the viewer of why human beings are becoming that inhuman, because this is an inhuman act. Why must you really murder somebody because of maize? Really maize, which is really quite unfortunate. You can wonder how much money this maize was costing, really, and you compare it with somebody's life, and whose life has no spare. He's gone, he's gone. And that is why we also need to really call upon the public to desist from theft, because theft is something that is not good. It is very, very bad, and that is why we also need to engage in farming. You need to plant your own. Why must you also head and steal somebody's property? And really that is something that is quite unfortunate there. But for now, we are going to also take another short break, and when we return back, we shall be able to also keep you informed with what is happening in and around your region. But for people of that sub-region that is in the areas of Pakwach and really Zombo, we are saying no. Enough is enough. You people are doing a lot of distractions when it comes to killing other people's lives. What is happening in that region? You need to tell us why issues of murders seem very easy for you in those areas. Why must you kill each other over certain issues? Really, this is where we also need to really say no to certain issues. And with that, really, we are going to take a short break, and when we return back, we shall be able to pick up with the conversation from there. For now, let's take a short breather. Thank you.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
AFCON, all 52 games live only on StarTimes. StarTimes brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023, live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your StarTimes subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. StarTimes, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Alright, welcome back from a short commercial break, and this is still the Kokoliriko live show. In case you're just joining us right now, this is West Nile TV. The channel you're watching is 0073 on Zuku, and from wherever you are watching us from, we want to say you are most welcome aboard, and thank you so much for always watching West Nile TV. And this is where we keep you informed of what is happening in and around the region, and also outside the region. Also, this is where we come with discussions to what you really need to know, because if you are not a person that is informed, then you will be able to also not be good. It will not be good for you there, because somebody may ask you thinking that you know, and then if you don't know, then that is also quite unfortunate. In the first hour, we did discuss a lot, and that is in relation to the non-aligned movement summits, plus the G77 that are really upcoming, where the nation is really preparing in high speed. The preparations are all over, and really the leaders are getting prepared for this event, and they will be able to also really address certain issues ranging from trade, unity, and cooperation. This is plus so many other issues that we expect them to address on this summit here. And really also you as the viewer, you could actually also direct what they need to also talk about, and feel free to drop this on our various platforms and tell us what you want the leaders to really also talk about when they head for this event here. So I think it is very, very much important to share your views and share your opinions. And now we did also head into the police investigating double murders, that is by the town council and Aka sub-county. And these are also something that we need to also talk about. And really, as people of this region, we condemn murder, and we do not also really promote it. And that is why we need to desist from it, because murder is not something that is good. The laws are against it, but we really continue to talk about it. And now the second incident happened. Really, we did talk about the first incident that happened in Zombo, and now the second incident is of a murder of a person identified as Reginald Oyenku, a student of Pacher Polytechnic, and that is in Panyango Sub-County, Pakach District. And the resident of Sina Village, Aka Sub-County, was killed and burnt inside his house by unknown people. Ketha of Penjmungu area local council 1, Sina Village, Aka Sub-County, said the deceased was seen on Tuesday at Zeu Lori Market with his wife, with whom they separated 1 year ago, and later he came home at 2 a.m. But unfortunately, he was murdered and set ablaze in his house. The area local council 3 Aka Sub-County, Brian Oromchan, told the reporter that they came to learn about the incident when some residents of the village alerted him of what happened. He said the deceased was instrumental citizen, and he was pursuing his certificate in welding, and that is at Pacher Community Polytechnic. And now Zombo District Criminal Investigating Officer, that is of ASP Collins Tayeba, who visited the 2 scenes of crime, said the investigation to the matter is now ongoing, and they will be able to also investigate those issues. There are really something that I also need to talk about. This is you are seeing somebody, sometimes also I think it is not very, very good to go back to our exes, because this man, according to the information we have received, did separate with the wife about a year ago. And this student, he is actually a student of that Polytechnic school. They are pursuing a course in certificate in welding, and they had separated with the wife. And now who is behind the killing? This is something that we definitely do not know, and this is where we also leave police to carry out these investigations, because we do not also expect to jeopardize security work. So I think we are looking forward to really seeing police also coming out with investigations into these 2 matters here that have really hit that area, because somebody is seen with the wife, with the ex-wife. And remember, sometimes really people do not separate. Even if after 10 years you see them reuniting at one point. And what could be the reason? Could it be that somebody was jealous for him, or maybe somebody also had wanted to marry his wife, and that it is the person who is behind the killing? Or could it be that the wife connived, maybe perhaps to kill him? And this is something that we do not know really, as we expect police to carry out its investigations. But really, that is very, very sad. It is very, very unfortunate. It is really not good. It is something that also really we must condemn as citizens, and we say it is really something that we need to desist from and stop, because if certain issues are not addressed very well, then these issues will continue, because you're murdering somebody's life for unknown reasons. But really, it is quite unfortunate, because the information we have seen had this man who was actually seen near the Tipo market, that is in that Pakwach, was seen together with the ex-wife with whom they had separated up, I think, about 2 years ago. But sometimes, really, we do not, partners do not separate. Though they may have domestic brawl issues here and there, but the love does not die, and they reunite, and maybe somebody could be behind the killings, and this is where we expect them to be brought before book, and police has to carry out its investigations. And that is why we also want to say murder is never a solution, because you are making somebody lose his or her life just like that. And this is something we are seeing becoming that is quite common in that part of the region there, which also we must come together and really condemn. Because now we have always had issues of people's houses being burned down, and sometimes also these issues when they are suspected cases, and people reiterate by also coming to also burn houses, which is not quite good. And recently, if you remember last year, we did have a similar scenario in Arua City here when 2 people, and this was a couple, a boy and a lady, passed on in the house. But they were believed to be poisoned, and which also did not go well when it comes to that side of Arua City here, when the relatives of these people reiterated by going to burn the other houses of the people whom they were suspecting to be behind the killing. And this is also something that we really also need to condemn, and really also come out and clearly say no to, because cases of poisoning is now coming up so much in this era. But we're in an era where we say we are modernized. What is happening? Because issues of really poisoning, these are issues that we grew up listening to or thinking of, and this is why some of us feared our villages. But now we are witnessing this in the 21st century, which we think is for modernized people. What is happening? What is not happening? Why are people really going backward to see to that they take the laws into their hands? What needs to be done? This is, I think, something that we also need to bring the guests from security operatives from in the next future. In the next few days, we shall be able to also keep up with the discussions and in line to that. But for now, your view, also your comment on what is happening is also very much paramount. You can tell us, why would somebody kill another for maize? Really, maize is something that you really, this is quite unfortunate, because we do understand the economy is very hard, but sometimes we also do not really have to continue killing one another, because once we continue doing that, then we are wondering, what kind of world do we have today? What kind of people are we? Because the religions keep on telling us, do not kill another person. The books have been clear. Are we not following what the Bible is saying? Are we not following what the Quran is saying? Because all these books have always said no to murder, but we continue to witness murder cases. Why are human beings becoming that inhuman? This is something that I also really want to caution and extend my voice on, because we are seeing these cases really becoming very much common. And now we're expecting the police to come up with the proper investigations, and this is where we expect the investigations also not to take very long, because at the end of the day, we expect these issues to be addressed. We expect the perpetrators to be brought to book. So I think this is something that we also have to really ensure that we talk about. And now, putting this discussion in relation to that aside, and still within this region, that is in northern Uganda, we are still heading that side now. We also have to now also tell you what is happening. And General Salim Saleh, as I did tell you earlier on, is in that side of the region, and he is actually in Omoro district, and he is there for 7 days of ideological training of Omoro district local government leaders and technocrats, that which ended prematurely as district leaders failed to constitute a local economic and investment committee, a body charged with the responsibility of addressing the needs of local investors. And remember, we are living in a state of local economic led, which is commonly abbreviated as LED, and this is something where we expect development right from the grassroots. And remember, West Nile also did recently, that was over last year, launched the West LED, which is West Nile local economically led development strategy, which is a strategy which we all need also to adopt as other parts of Uganda, because we need to ensure development right from the grassroots, because we do not expect development from the top level. And this is where they actually have the need to support local investors, and local investment is actually key. But now General Salim Saleh was in Amoro district, and the leaders were unable to also provide information concerning a committee to constitute the local economic and investment committee, which was quite unfortunate. And more, we are talking about led local economic development strategy, which we need to take up as people of this country, and really that is quite unfortunate for the leaders of that side, and it is really not good one there for them. So because we are now living in a country, we are saying we want development right from the local perspective, and everybody must ensure that they develop. And this is where when development is taking place, we expect everybody really to ensure that they participate in the development strategy, because it is where it calls for everybody's involvement, where everybody is involved. And this ranges from that is from strategies of the unskilled and skilled labor force, where everybody has to participate in the development of the country. And this is something that we also did preach to you about last year when it comes to the launch of the West-led. And now we expect it to work in other places, because this is a strategy that Ministry of Finance and Economic Development through Ministry of Local Government also in partnership developed, to see to it that development happens right from the local perspective, right from the grassroots. This is also where industries are supposed to be put at the local levels, and this is actually wanting also investment, agriculture, tourism, and trade can actually come through when there is need to ensure that the local economic development strategy works, because this is where it is also really quite good. And now the failure to constitute a local committee was actually one thing that made the meeting there to really end prematurely. And now the question I'm posing, what is really happening to our leaders? Because this thing has always been there, and the people are failing to constitute these committees to ensure that they actually come out clearly, to ensure that people really ensure or come up with the development strategies, because we are talking about development, and which we also want to see happening in this region. We are talking about we wanting to move out of poverty level, and whereby for us to move out of the bar line, it calls for everybody's participation, where everybody has to be involved, because these issues really also greatly affect and impact on the development of this country. Because for us to develop as a nation, first we need to also have participation of everybody, to ensure that they actually get engaged into production, into the other various activities there. So I think the leaders of Omoro failing to really constitute a committee, it is quite unfortunate, because we all know how instrumental that general is when it comes to development, because he heads the operational wealth creation, and as him heading the operational wealth creation, that is actually one strategy that he has been developing through the government to see that people move out of poverty, because we are talking about poverty. The song has always been there, we are poor, we do not have the money, and that is why the country is still lagging behind the bar line. We are talking about a nation where its GDP is still very low, and for us to also ensure that we move out of that bar line or the poverty line that we have always talked about, these are the strategies that we need to put in place. Something that is not going through. I think we also need to also come up and say that we need the new strategies to see to it that this West-led or this led strategy works, because this is a national strategy, to see to that development starts right from the grassroots, starts with the local person. And this goes to you, the farmer. If you are a farmer, how do you develop as that local farmer? This is where you also need to ensure value addition, because value addition for the produce that you produce, for the goods that you produce, is very much important. And this is where the head of state, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, also recently did come out to clearly say and ask the farmers to ensure value addition through converting. This was to the milk farmers, and he actually made this call this year, where he did ask also the farmers, the dairy farmers, to ensure that they get engaged in value addition through converting the milk that they have into other products, for instance, powdered form. So I think this is also something that these people also needed to ensure that they participate in, that they take place through, and they also get familiar with. And because if they do not ensure that this also does not work, it will not be able to also yield fruits. And now, after displaying this to General Salim Saleh, the skill and knowledge that have been imparted to them during the 7 days, the district and technocrats sang with joy, singing to the chief guest, as some of them came with knowledge of acquiring during the training. But General Salim Saleh learns from Stephen Tumwine, senior development officers of ministers of local government, which did not please him. So I think the information that the technocrat, this official from Ministry of Local Government gave him was not quite good, which also did not go well with them. And this is where we are seeing also sometimes our leaders lying to ourselves, because we are lying to people who are to bring development. You are lying to yourselves. You are lying the whole nation. So I think which is also not quite good. And we have seen this with quite so many of government events coming up where we see the organizations are very poor. But once people come off these events, we pretend that everything is okay, where we pretend that everything has been in place, everything has been quite well organized, which is also quite unfortunate there, which is also not good. So I think I want to also really say that the people of Omoro need to desist from that incident there, because it is not quite good, because you are lying to yourselves. You are not lying to another person, but rather to yourself, and that is why it is very, very not important, and to really learn that. And after hours of interrogation, the district chairman blamed the underutilization of this under 17 value addition center of power connectivities to what the leaders actually are saying. Now you are putting government products that are being developed, you are leaving them grounded, which is also not quite good, because all these things are to help in what we are really calling for, which is the lead initiative, which we are really seeking for, and which the Ministry of Local Government actually came out to ensure that, called the world to really also ensure that they move and develop. And where if we do not really also do that, then we are bound to be that poor nation that we always sung ourselves, where we have also sung in poverty. So which is also really not quite good there, because once we start pretending that everything is okay, then it becomes really also really quite unfortunate there. And now, speaking in disappointment to the leaders of Omoro, General Salim Saleh expressed his intention of not passing out the 500 people who for the last 7 days have been undergoing an ideological course at the Northern Uganda Youth Development Center in Labora Sub-County. This is something that also, which was very embarrassing for a dignitary to come from wherever he is to really also come and see what is happening, and then we give him that kind of outlook, and then that paints a bad image of us. So I really also want to tell everybody to desist from this, and really also tell you that we need to really also move out of that, and we also need to ensure that we play our part when it comes to that issue there. And with that, in case you are just joining us right now, really if you feel like you need to also have an input on the discussions, and that is quite important for you there, because you can actually also share your views on our various platforms, and that is on Facebook. For those of you who are watching us on Facebook, you can also watch us from YouTube, and drop your comments there via the comment sections. And for those of you watching us on Zuku, this is on the satellite, the channel number is 0073. All you need to do is rush out social media, and that is on Facebook, and drop your comments there on what you think about the discussions for today, because we have started the discussions for today. We started it with the non-aligned movement, and we came to insecurity, which is in Zombo, where people are being murdered in cold blood, and really over certain small things. For instance, maize. Really, why would you murder somebody for maize? And this is where I also did tell you what was happening, and this is also something that we need to condemn as of this nation, and we really need to move out from, because if we do not really also move out of that, then we shall be able to also see ourselves being murdered, and we shall be able to see our relatives getting killed. And that is why we need to unite as families and bring our relatives who are going through a lot to close, and we need to bring them closer to us. And this is where we witness depression, because certain things happen for different reasons. At times, also need to understand why people do certain things. It could be a reason as to why that they maybe wanted to eat, because maize is food, really. Why would you want to murder somebody just for food? That is quite unfortunate. And now we are talking about President General Salim Saleh expressing his disappointment with the leaders of Omoro district, and for failing to constitute a committee that would lead the economic development strategy in that area. So I think this is something also we also really want to condemn. And now putting that discussions to a close, as we are running out of time, as we still also have a lot. And now we are heading to the analysis of the National Resistance Movement stroke DP movement, the MOU which was signed that led to the appointment of Norbert Mao as Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs. That also did raise discussions some time back, where people were asking themselves, and we did see accusations here and there people being called yellow bananas, others being called yellow pumpkins, others being called watermelons. Really, this is where we had discussions, because the other leaders were saying, you have been with us, but you had other intentions. You are green outside, but outside you are yellow. And people also had responses. For you, you are yellow inside, but you are red. So I think this is where people had really accusations, which were also quite interesting and funny enough. But really, that is something also to also need to tell you about, because now it has reached time for assessment of understanding how the unity is working, because for now, it is now time these two parties have reached an agreement of now wanting to assess of how this thing worked. Remember, the Secretary General of Opposition Democratic Party and those of ruling National Resistance Movement are set to meet, and this is next week, and assess the progress of the cooperation agreement they signed to work together. And this is where also I told you certain people actually got appointed, but this also did not go with the section of the other leaders, and some people actually demanded for the exit of that is Democratic Party leader, that is Norbert Mao, but also that did not happen, because what they said was it is only a few members of the Democratic Party that signed this agreement. It was not the whole party. It was rather the secretary, that was Siranda, and Norbert Mao, who signed this deal here to see to that they work and cooperate with that is the National Resistance Movement. And this was quite way back, and this was in 2022, I think. Yes, this was in 2022 when this MOU was signed. That led to the appointment of Norbert Mao as the Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs. And I must say that it's now time for these people to also really assess themselves and understand how far they have gone with the cooperation. And this is where also really I want to ask you, how far is the unity? How far have you seen it? And Justice Constitutional Affairs Minister Norbert Mao, who also doubles as the Deputy President, while speaking at the media center in Kampala, said it is now 1.5 years since the cooperation agreement was signed, and there has been assessment to establish whether there is progress or otherwise, and adjust accordingly. And I think this is also something that is quite good, because sometimes really we also had a saying, if you cannot win your enemies, join them. And this joining is for the good of the country. And really, if you join hands, and this actually also goes to the other opposition leaders, also opposition parties, you could actually also copy a lift from there, because right now you can see what Norbert Mao is doing. He's heading one of the critical entities of government, and that is the Justice and Constitutional Affairs Department, and he's actually doing his work here and there, and which is also quite good there, and we also want to commend him for the good job. But now it is time to assess and really have an assessment of really the two, where they signed the MOU, and the two parties agreed to share political power and cooperate with the National Resistance Movement in supporting the overall governance agenda and supporting parliamentary votes on matters of confidence and supply for the full term, that is between 2021 to 2026. And of this, and this was also something that I also feel I need to tell you about, because the agreement they signed was to share political power. And at one time we did see also people saying, is President Yoweri Museveni giving up power to Norbert Mao? Is it Norbert Mao going to succeed? That is His Excellency Yoweri Museveni. That is something I do not know. And actually that is also one question that was asked by the members of the public. And so many people asked these questions here, and they were asking themselves of what really holds of DP. And does it mean that DP would get disintegrated? And this is where we did see also fracas emerging, that is from the Democratic Party. Also there, this was demanded for the exit of, that is the party president and the Secretary General. And the agreement, Mr. Mao was appointed as Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs, while DP leader was appointed to be while the DP leader was also appointed to a ministerial position. And DP also committed to support the NRM government with technical motions in Parliament and committees as provided in the consultation among the parties through their chief whips. So I think it is now time for these two to assign, and this is why they're going to ask questions. When we are doing this, you said if it happens this way, you're going to enable me benefit this way, and this did not happen. What happened? This is where the president of DP, Norbert Mao, is also going to ask the president of, that is the Republic of Uganda, who is with the NRM, and this is where DP also, which is working under this agreement with the ruling government of NRM, is going to question, you had these plans and this is what you said would happen. This did not happen. This is what assessment is all about. In our agreements, we had this. we had more ways, we had plans of doing this, but this did not happen. What really went wrong? And this is where the Democratic Party will come through and really also ask the ruling government, that is of NRM, to assess on whether the issue, where the MOU was working, and then maybe if it could be renewed, because I believe this was also this also had its own time, because MOUs also, once they fail, you can disintegrate and you can really put them aside. And I think this is also where people are going to question, is the MOU working, and who was really behind it? And this is where the discussions really are coming back, because we are heading to 2026. 2026 is not very far. And recently, and basically I did tell you when actually the term of office of Biabakam expiring, and now when we are set to also appoint a new EC boss, and with this political integration, is it time for now DP to stop the MOU and head back to 2026 and be a sole? And could it be that they will still cooperate and support the NRM government when it comes to 2026? And this is something I do not know, because the two are set to meet, that is in 1 week's time, and we shall also be able to keep you updated of what transpires in that next meeting there, because the meeting is all about to assess on the progress that is between, for the MOU that was signed between the ruling government of NRM and with that of Democratic Party. And these two leaders actually came together and joined hands, which to me is also quite good, because really if we work together, sometimes it is good also to develop our country. And this is witnessed with our neighbor in Kenya, where opposition leaders sometimes also come together despite their differences in terms of ideology, in terms of colors, in terms of politics. But development agenda becomes key, because whoever is in that office has the mandate of steering up development and really also leading the people that they come to lead. And this is where we expect these two to come up with ideas and also say, we as DP we are not happy about this. This is something that we really also did not also talk about, and this is also something we are saying this did not, where you also, we are telling them, we also have to tell them, this is something that you did not do, and yet in the agreement you told us you will do this. And the next agreement, what next? What plans are you having next? And what are you planning to feature in that next MOU that you may sign? Because in this MOU that you signed, you had a lot of plans of supporting one another, which was also quite good. And because if you have to see what is happening in our neighbor, that is Kenya, there's really a lot that we can learn from there on how the opposition is working with the ruling government, despite the so many differences. At times we also come out and really, though we at times also see them coming out to demonstrate and really also raise the eyebrows and also raise concerns, but still, once it comes to issues of development, we have seen them working together. We have seen the opposition leaders working together with the ruling government, which is quite good, and this is something that could happen in Uganda, and which if it happened, it would also be good. That is for the nation to develop there, because we are talking about moving out of the poverty, that is by 2040, and the development agenda for this government was 2040, and this 2040 is when we expect actually for this nation to move out of poverty, and we are just some few years into 2040, because these years are not very many. But right now we are still swinging in poverty, and that means that there is a lot that needs to be done, where everybody has a role to play to see to it that they contribute to the development of this country. Because once we do not contribute this development, then there's really a lot that may be able to also leave us out. And this is where it is very much important to ensure that we participate in the development. And this is where I want to also ask you as the viewer of what you think Democratic Party needs to front when they are going to meet NRM in the next MOU assessment. And this is where it is very much paramount for you also to share your views and what you think the secretaries of the two parties need to really also discuss and have a way forward of where they're going to really also discuss when it comes to really ensuring that they come together and have this MOU reassessed. Because reassessment is where you make evaluations, and evaluations, without evaluating yourself, how would you assess the progress of what you have been doing? How would you know that you're doing well without necessarily assessing really how you have been doing? Maybe some of the things that may be able to also happen, maybe it could be as a result of of failure to work together, which is also quite unfortunate. And remember, so many things have been really happening within this region, and that is where I also want to call upon and seek for your feedback and I want to make an understanding of what you really think Democratic Party needs to front. That is when they are going to meet NRM in the MOU assessment. Because if you remember, it is now 1.5 years ever since this agreement was drafted, and the two parties have been working together. Is it yielding fruits? Has the agreement lived its test of time? Has it really given back its expected outcomes? That is something I also do not know. That is why I'm asking you as the viewer of what you really think Democratic Party needs to front to the ruling government of NRM, as the two secretaries are set to meet and have an assessment of how the MOU that led to the appointment of, that is Minister Norbert Mao as Minister for Justice and Constitutional Affairs there. And we also have other people also getting appointed on several positions, and that is where also people raise the questions that all along you have been, and this, I remember the discussion when that time came and when people were raising issues, you have been with us here. Kumbe, you came from the other party. People had paying the issues of accusations in terms of colors, where they were saying you lived with us here, Kumbe, you're from the other party, and with that really we are going to be taking another short breather, and when you return back, we also need your feedback, and you can share with us of what you think the ruling government also in the meeting with the Democratic Party, where they signed an agreement as they're going to assess this agreement of this MOU that was signed between the two parties. What you think, what you feel that these two parties need to address in their next MOU, because after this MOU, I believe they're going to be making changes, and if at all, they also to extend what they need to include. But for now, let's really run in for a short break, and when we return back, we shall be able to pick up with the conversation from there. Thank you.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
AFCON, all 52 games live only on StarTimes. StarTimes brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023, live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your StarTimes subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. StarTimes, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
working hard and producing and able to help somebody who is in need. Able to give to your loved ones. This is time for giving, for God so loved us and gave his only begotten Son. Do not go taking, give, and then you will receive. If you are planning to rob somebody, listen to me carefully, God is not happy with that. If you are planning to steal people's things, God is not happy with that. Destroy everything that makes you an enemy of your neighbor. It's only God who can destroy those tendencies in your life and that habit in your life, so that instead of taking, you are a giver, because we need to demonstrate love in our time. Again, this is not time for sexual immorality, but this is time for us to prepare ourselves to receive the blessing of God. Many of us are going to waste our bodies in going into people's homes and going with people's wives and going with people's daughters, and we are going to waste our lives out there. Listen, this is time for you to open your heart, open your hands, and receive the blessing of God. I speak to people who are listening to me. If you are listening to me and you are in West Nile, my region, will you make your body the temple of the Holy Spirit and guard it? Allow your body to be used to bless our region. Do not destroy somebody's relationship by misusing his wife or his daughter. Allow yourself to be a channel of blessing, because God brings you his life in order to bless other people. Again, this is not time for dancing the whole night. Some people are going to go into dancing spree, in discos and everything the whole night. In my place where I am seated, the devil has only given and deprived people who are wizards to dance at night. Why do they dance at night? Because they dance naked, which they can't do during the day. Why are you deprived of sleep? When you should eat and drink and praise God and go to bed and sleep, then go and worship God tomorrow without a hangover. Dancing at night, going to spend time out there with other women, with other girls, with other men, is not going to give you any benefit of celebrating such a day as this. And this is a time for praises. This is a time for worship of God, because God has given us a gift that we cannot afford.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that short commercial break, and this is still the Kokoliriko live show on West Nile TV, and this is the only show where you have to wake up and be informed, because this is the only show that is also there in place to keep you informed as the citizen of this country, and that is why it is always very much paramount for you to wake up watching the TV. And West Nile Television is here to enlighten the region and also enlighten your day at the same time, because if you are starting off your day as an informed person, then that is enlightening up your day. So I think it is quite important and very much good for you to also always wake up watching West Nile TV, being that informed person. And that is why we have had discussions ranging from the non-aligned movements, and then we headed to the murders that is in Zombo and Pakwach. which is really also quite unfortunate there. And we also did talk about so many other things, and now we are continuing with the discussions as we are running out of time. And remember, we started the show right from the hour of 7 a.m. and in a special way I want to thank whoever kept it right from the time we began till this hour of the morning. I must say thank you so much. And for those of you who are just joining us right now, it's also a great pleasure having you on board, and I also want to say thank you and you're most welcome. And we are going to be doing this with you up the hour, that is 9 a.m. And my name is Farish Majid, and today I'm alone, and I'm going to be also giving you insights onto some of the issues that are trending on the national scene. And remember, Speaker Anita Mong also did make some communication there, and this is in reject of Zake as appointed. So I think appointment of Zake has already been rejected by Anita Mong there, and all you need to know is is one reason actually why you must stay tuned to West Nile TV and keep it locked, and that is one area also I'm going to keep you informed of, and this is an issue that is also trending. And then we remember we have been having issues of the leaders from this region demanding answers to why URA officials, these are the UPDF officials attached to URA, must be killing its citizens. So URA together with UPDF have come out to clearly say they do not really condone the killings, but rather they are not going to really continue with the killings. So I think this is something also you need to know, as the leaders are really condemning the killing of the residents. And this is one of the stories that is actually up on now on Daily Monitor. This is something that is also there right now, and I also must say I must keep you on, because I do understand very soon the leaders of also that is in Pakwach. I think Pakwach, yes, and the leaders of that side are set to meet with the URA and UPDF operatives, and this is also to talk about the same, because if you are to remember recently where we did lose one of the young man from that is Madiokolo district, and by the names of James Achiji, who was also gunned down by the UPDF officers who were on duty, something which was quite unfortunate, and this happened on the 4th, and this is just something that we also did talk about here recently when the year is beginning. And now UPDF officials are saying no, they do not really condone these incidences, but rather they are condemning it. So I think this is something also where we are going to be discussing that with you, and I'm also going to keep you informed about this, because this is something that you need to know, because the issues of the URA shootings have really been there. And if you remember, just some few days ago we did have Lemeriga Fadil also coming here to analyze and tell us what exactly is URA not doing, because the killings have been there over some time now. If you look at a history about these killings, I can tell you the first case I know of was reported way back in 2010, and this is when 2009, in fact it was not 2010, where we did record the first case I know of and the shootings by URA, and this was in 2009. And in 2010 we also had a similar case, and then 2020 about there we also did have cases being registered, and the numbers of people who are actually believed to have lost their lives, and this is in hands of errant UPDF officers, is estimated to be more than 10 now, which is quite huge there, because this body is actually there to ensure that they receive taxes. We do understand that it is also our mandate as citizens to really also pay taxes, and really we have also seen sometimes the people misbehaving when they see these URA operatives, and this is also actually one thing that also may be causing the brawl that is between the UPDF. So I feel I needed to also talk to you about, because it's also not quite good, because really UPDF is not there to kill, but rather to ensure that they obtain taxes from these people, and they also ensure that they get the taxes that these people are supposed to pay. And this is something that why I say it is always good to ensure that people pay their taxes, and now Uganda Revenue Authority together with UPDF are condemning the acts, and now these concerns follow us a section of the leaders and locals that is in the sub-region over the years just have not been happy, and have registered cases against these issues here. And now Uganda Revenue Authority and Uganda Post Defense Forces have expressed regret over the killings of the people in West Nile sub-region by Uganda Revenue Authority officers. And this is not the first time, because if I remember, that was way back in 2021 when the then regional manager Ivan Kakaire was here following the shooting of this young man that was in Narua district. Actually also apologized, came out to apologize and said they are really sorry for these incidences here, but we do not know what is really happening and why people must be able to lose their lives when it comes to the behaviors of the errant UPDF officers, and these are attached to URA, which is something that is really quite unfortunate. And recently the leaders of this sub-region have actually demanded for a training for these UPDF officers attached to URA so that they get to handle people very well. But the question I've always asked myself, these are UPDF officers who have had training not to deal with human beings, but not to deal with civilians, and these are people who are supposed to guard the borders, but you are saying they need to all get that training to deal with human beings. But for me, I really think I'm of the view that if Uganda Revenue Authority had its own force, then we will be able to see some of these cases being really brought down. And no, if they cannot really also have its own force now, why don't they now start working with Uganda Police? That is something really I think that would actually also help address these cases of these killings, and that is one area and one way I would feel that these cases can be brought down, because cases of people being killed, and this is by the errant officers of URA and together with UPDF, have always been there. I do understand, because it is sometimes also that people have become very, very indisciplined. Once they see these URA officers, they start stoning, which is not good. And that is why sometimes also these URA officers have to shoot back, because if you have to remember the incident that happened in Yumbe where officers were burnt and vehicles were burnt down, so which was also not quite good, because the URA officers had done something that side which we also know wasn't very good. And we have also seen similar cases in Arua City here, where gunshots have always rocked when people whom we presume are smugglers are being arrested, and people also come in numbers to really also put these things here and aside and wanting to stop these killings. And I think this is something that the leaders are said to also talk about. I do understand that leaders from Pakwach, is it Pakwach? Yes, are going to be meeting with the leaders from these two entities very soon, and we also expect these issues to be addressed, because once these cases are not addressed, then we are bound to be witnessing these killings going on and on and on. And now UPDF is condemning, together with URA, they are commending the killings of West Nilers. I do not know what you, the viewer, thinks of what you are saying. You can actually also drop your comments there in case you have what you really feel about what UPDF and together with URA is saying. That they're saying they're sorry. I do not know what you really think of this statement, what you really make of it, but you can also feel free to really share your comment with us, and we shall be able to also reflect this and share with the rest of the viewers on what you really feel and what you think. And we are still heading with the discussion, and remember we are going to stop with the discussions, and that is at about 8:50, so that we pave way for the Liberty News team to come through and give you what is happening in the world of Eolaza. And you as a Lubara also, you do not have to miss the Eolaza News Bulletin, because this is where you get to understand, you get to know what is happening in and around the world in the language that you should best know, because a mother's tongue is the best. Because English, you may not be able to speak it just like the best language that you have, your local language, which is the best, and you may not be able to also understand it. Languages are best taught to us, because once we are growing up, we get to understand these the languages very well. We know the vocabulary. This is us that best understand them. So that is one reason you do not have to miss the Eolaza News Bulletin. And Mukulia Lawrence, together with team, is getting set, and that will be able to come through. That is at the hour of, that is 9 a.m. But for now, really, we are asking, what do you think about the statement by Uganda Revenue Authority of condemning the acts of killing the West Nilers? And that is something also really, I must say, you must be able to also think and share about. And in the paper still, there's worry as project workers impregnate and dump 30 girls. We have seen this happening, but it seems that our girls are not learning from these experiences. And if you look and talk about several of these government projects that are being undertaken place in the region, you can see that they go, once these people go back, they are leaving offsprings behind. We have seen Chinese in Maracha, and this is where they came and really constructed the road, and they left offsprings, and whom today, up to date, they do not know of their parents. They do not know where their parents are, because these people came to work. These were casual workers who were brought from China, and I really do not also think that they can be able to come back and really take these families here, and we are leaving people behind. And this is not only happening in the region, we have really seen this happening in the other parts of the world, also in parts of the country at large, where any project that is being taken place, where we see casual workers also impregnating and dumping the girls there, and they leave the burden to the girls, because a man, after impregnating, if he or she does not go along with you, sometimes I want to question this to the young girls. Sometimes these people who come and work, why must you really also just fall for them like that, because you do not understand where this person comes from, you do not understand their background. This is quite common. Even we have seen this happening when they were constructing their road, district road, the road that connects to the customs. And I do understand that the casual workers actually did leave also their offsprings there, and they have children that they left there, and some of these children now they need the fathers, but the fathers are nowhere to be seen. So this is something where I also want to caution the young girls to desist from, and this is something that really, if we do not also say and talk about, then we shall be able to also carry it on. And the contractor says that it carried out mass campaigns on HIV, AIDS and contraceptives before the starting of the projects, and this was in Kasese, and where the workers were actually first sensitized about what they are supposed to do. And if people do not also abide by this, then that is quite unfortunate there, because HIV is one disease that is still with us. And you are going to sleep with this person whose background you do not know where the person is coming from, you do not know what disease the person is carrying on, but you see the person very handsome, you see the person lady very beautiful, you fall for them, which is also really not good, because at the end of the day you are going to leave innocent people behind after the end of the project, maybe after the end of the expiry of the project perhaps, because the contractors have the rights. They can shift you from one location to another. As a contractor, you're not, as a construction worker, you're not going to be there permanent. The contractor may come at one time and say, I'm transferring you from this site to another site, because this is something we have also seen with these contractors, because they do not undertake one project. Sometimes they do more than two, and that is where we also see cases of project stalling, and this is actually one factor that has been attributed to project stalling, because some of these contractors may be also be undertaking that is more than one project. And with that, really, we want to put that discussion aside. And one interesting thing is among councils, Zake's appointment, and this was appointment of Zake as opposition chief whip, because if you have to remember the wrangles between that is the Michiana member of parliament, that is Zake, and the speaker of parliament, Anita Mong, have always been there, and that is where we did see him also being removed from another position. And we have also seen people voting, and where the people voted against him to move out. And now the same thing, that is the same opposition party, that is National Unity Platform, was fronting that is the appointment of Zake as government as a chief whip, and this is as shadow minister, which was again rejected by Anita Mong. I don't know what you think about that, and I don't know what to make of it, but you were really able to also share your views with us. And really, we are running out of time. We are about 8 minutes into the news bulletin, and with that, really, we want to come with today's discussions to a close. And in a special way, I want to thank whoever kept it right from the time we began till this hour of the morning, where we come to an end of the discussions, and we are going to come again tomorrow. And remember, tomorrow we expect guests, so you do not have to miss when it comes to tomorrow, because the issues that we are going to be discussing tomorrow are very much pertinent, and these are issues that really you must be in the know of. And today, really, I've been Farish Majid, and I've been alone. And in a special way, I want to thank whoever really joined us from the time we began or in the due course of the program. And we must say asante to you for always watching West Nile Television. For now, allow me stop with the discussions from here, and we shall be able to also come back tomorrow on the same show. That is the same time and the same frequency. That is 0073 on Zuku and the other platforms. Thank you so much for watching West Nile TV. Up next is the news bulletin in Lubarati with Mukulia Lawrence. Thank you.